a long time, for me, I thought that being resilient, being strong, meant never falling like that. But then one day in Turkey, I hit the mat so hard that it changed my life. A few years ago, I was competing for Team USA. I was an international athlete, and at that time in my life, I had become a two-time Paralympic medalist, a world champion, and an athlete envoy for the US State Department. So at that point, I had built my entire life around judo. And so right before one of my matches, one of my friends from the German national team came up and warned me, and they said, hey, this guy's really strong, and he's going to try and throw you with sode. And sode is a throw that requires you using both of your opponent's arms to throw them, and he's going to demonstrate a uchikomi. And so it looks like this. And come on, Aaron. So that's the throw they used, and that's the warning that they gave me. And so a few things you need to understand about my German friends. They don't spend a lot of time talking. And if they do, they're usually talking all kinds of shit. But if they give you magic advice, you had better listen. They don't do that often. So the match started. We gripped, we fought for position, and everything just disappeared. I was thrown directly on the top of my head, and the impact knocked me unconscious. When I woke up, I couldn't move my right arm or my left leg. So there I was, lying on the ground in a foreign country, unable to move, thinking, shit, this might be it. But thankfully, eventually, movement came back. As you guys can see, not permanently paralyzed, I can move. But something in me did change. And strangely enough, the injury wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part came after. Because I retired from sport after that match. And when I left judo, I lost the thing that told me who I was. Because for years, I had been introduced as the blind Paralympic judoka, medalist, the athlete, and beyond that, I didn't really know who I was without it. And at some point, I spent so much of my time surviving physically, getting stronger, building muscle, and learning how to fight, but I spent almost no time learning how to survive emotionally, regulating feelings and thoughts that got out of hand. And so maybe some of you know that feeling, maybe not through sport, but through life. And so maybe you lost something, a relationship, a dream, a future that you thought you were supposed to have, and then suddenly, you don't really know who you are anymore. And so for a long time, I felt lost, felt disconnected, and I was grieving. And I was just drowning in all kinds of sadness that I had no idea how to explain. But somewhere inside all of that confusion, I started teaching. And I started teaching almost by accident. Because at first I thought I was there to help kids. And then later on, help students, because I started teaching adults. But the more I taught emotional intelligence, the more I realized that they were helping me. Because as I taught it, I was really getting in tune and starting to understand my own emotions. I was beginning to understand the language of the mind, the body, stress, trauma, connection, and resilience. I had studied psychology, sociology, and emotional intelligence. And then bit by bit, I began rebuilding myself. Not as the athlete, not as the medalist, but as a human being. And then that's when something completely changed the way I understood judo. The way I understood judo completely changed. Because in judo, we do something very powerful. In judo, we learn how to fall, and we practice falling. And so the first time any of us fall, or we practice fall, we panic. Our breathing changes, we get tense, we fight the impact. And honestly, that's what happens in life as well. When life gets too hard, when we're overwhelmed, when we're stressed, when we're afraid, we tighten up. But in judo, we fix that. It's because we fall. again, and again, and again. And then over time, we begin to realize, and we notice that the fall is still real. The ground is still there, and it's always going to be there. But we've become more confident. We've become more aware, and we've become more resilient. It's because in judo, the very first thing we learn is how to fall safely. Not how to win, not how to fight. We learn how to survive impact. And that's important because life is going to throw all of us eventually. Whether it's through loss, failure, heartbreak. And the question then is not if we fall. The question becomes, what happens next? And so the biggest thing I've learned from teaching emotional intelligence, from learning emotional intelligence and having it be a daily practice of my life is that our bodies will react to stress before our mind even knows what's going on. Our shoulders will tighten up, our breathing will change, we'll lose balance. And many of us, we don't even know that we're overwhelmed until we're falling. But judo teaches awareness. Teaches awareness and balance, teaches awareness of tension, and it also teaches awareness of self. So after we learn how to fall, we learned something called kuzushi. You guys can say that with me? Hold up. Kuzushi. 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 Okay? So that is off balancing. In understanding what can take us off balance. Because stress can do that. Anger can do that. And fear can do that. And life can throw us so hard, we forget who we are. But awareness gives us the ability to recover. Gives us the ability to do something different. So there are two main principles in judo. There is minimal effort and maximum efficiency. That's because we judoka, we don't like wasting our energy on things that we can't control. We try to find the most efficient, straightforward path that we can. The other one, and this is the one that my entire club, my reason for doing this is built off of, and that is mutual welfare and benefit. Okay? That is the idea that we need one another to do this. We need one another to grow. We are able to grow stronger together. And one of the most beautiful things about judo is that the person throwing you is also responsible for your safety. So I lifted them up. Now think about how powerful that is and what that says about the community that we're building, about the trust and responsibility that we have with one another. And so for a very long time, I thought that strength was doing everything on your own, not struggling, never falling. But the art of judo taught me that real strength is understanding that the fall is still real, while knowing that we can get up again and again and again. Real strength is knowing that even after the hardest falls, we are capable of so much growth. And that's because life is going to throw us. It's going to throw us again. And it's going to throw us again. But we learn how to fall. We learn how to support one another. We learn how to help each other rise. We can become stronger than we ever thought possible.